Welcome back to Remnant from the Ashes. I haven't moved. We are still in the city. We are still looking for the founder. And this place needs some weed killer. Ooh, another purple item. So purple items are uniques. They're always going to be a benefit to you of some sort. Whether it be a Tome of Knowledge, which is an instant skill point, or trade point, excuse me, or it's going to be a weapon or equipable item. Probably the most useful. There's one more, most useful item. We're going to get, our purple item, excuse me, uniques, whatever you want to call it, is going to be the Tome of Knowledge, which is the free trade points, because once we start collecting traits, and we will, those are going to be useful for getting us leveled up. Now, they're not game-breaking. Having them, especially certain ones, are exceedingly useful, but they're never going to be game-breaking. They only add something like a 10 or a 1% increase per point, and you can only have 20 points per trade. But, you know, once you get to a certain point, you're gonna have a pretty significant boost. You get to 20, you get a 20% boost in damage. Pretty good, all things considered. Anyway, this is our first dungeon. And I can't remember if it's always the same one. But this is also our first checkpoint. So, yeah, that explains what I just explained. We're going to travel back to Ward 13 because we picked up a key card. And so we're going to use that key card to unlock that door, because there's a few important things in there and a lot of lore that we need to go through. So quick run back downstairs.
Hello there, friend.
Old Korean War, and what was that? Oh, directory. Reactor Ward 13 research. So the proper ward is actually basement level 1, or basement level 2, excuse me. And then basement level 3 is the research division. Anyway, we have a key. Let's use it. And they animated everything. So I'm excited about this. I love this game. This game is fantastic. What I'm really excited about is they just announced that they're doing a sequel next year, 2023. And we're recording this December 28th, 2022, so next year isn't that far away. Anyway, another Tome of Knowledge. We're actually going to save this point, and I'll show you why in a minute. We also have a computer to read. Electronic mail. Security protocol update. Commander Nathan Haskell. To all security protocol update, due to recent events, we will be amending our security protocol to require additional photo ID checks upon entry to Ward 13. Entry will still require the use of personal security cards. However, an additional ID check will be performed upon entry to the ward. All security officers will be notified of the change, and the new protocol will take effect immediately. Interesting. I wonder why that is. A little drink. More email. A log. Casa. Eureka. It's taken us months, but we've finally reconnected to Dreamer to Gabriel's world. Subject 2419-1 is online. The new bonded entity is vastly different from the previous one. Visual recordings are dim, but audio is greatly enhanced, so much so that equipment cannot accurately record it all. The new Guardian is belligerent toward the inhabitants, malicious even. I suspect it shares memories from the previous Guardian. Consciously or not, it knows what the Fuzzies did and treats them accordingly. Fascinating. Physical expedition. Sounds like the high-ups are planning an honest-to-God physical expedition to one of the worlds. Commander Neville has requested all operation managers submit our recommendation. Given that things have changed since bringing Casa online, the Guardian, the root creatures, the massacres, I think it's obvious that our stance has to be December 20th, 1968. Casa's equipment is going bonkers. It keeps resetting itself to a specific set of parameters. Not just the dreaming harness, but the recording equipment, diagnostics, even the life support. The effect seems to be coming from Casa herself, but none of us understand how that's possible. Per procedure, we've tried to sedate and reboot Casa, but that has proven impossible. The system ignores our commands for sedation. Reg tried to physically administering the drugs, of course, but the system automatically applied a reversal agent. I'm concerned if we try to overpower the system, we will end up killing the Dreamer. On the other hand, that may be our only option if this feedback loop doesn't resolve itself. We'll continue our observations for now, but after what happened with Gabriel and Clementine, I'm worried. They're everywhere. The root creatures from Casa's world. We were unprepared. How could we be? They attacked so quickly. Reg is dead. So many are dead. We've lost contact with wards 16 and 17, maybe others. Those of us still alive have locked ourselves in Casa's room for now, but it won't be long before we're discovered. What the hell is happening? The Dreamers. They're after the Dreamers. They killed all but Casa already. It's just a matter of time. Except that they aren't pounding on our door. They know we're in here. They must know we're in here. If they're after the Dreamers, why would they leave us alone? Unless... Oh god, Casa, she's the gate. That's what I have to do then. We don't have any other choice. If we leave the room, they'll slaughter us. And if I'm wrong, well, one more dead Dreamer won't matter much if we're all dead. Abandoned. It's done. The system fought us at every turn. And then the root creatures began pounding at the door, as though they knew what we were trying to do. But it's over. She's dead. And the root are still out there. We're preparing to make one final run for it. I don't know how far we'll get. But if we die, we'll die if we stay here. Harsgard's Dreamer was in a feedback loop too. We have to tell them. If I was right about her being the gate, then file corrupted. Electric mail draft. Dearest Reg, I know you're dying to learn what the government's been doing since I moved to Ward 13. There's so much to tell I don't know where to start. The red crystals weren't anything like we thought, Reg. Not power sources at all. They're conduits through space itself. I know I wouldn't have believed it either, but wait until you see what they're doing. They're connecting test subject dreamers. They've connected test subject dreamers, they call them, to some sort of guardian entities in other worlds. I don't mean other planets, I mean parallel worlds side by side with Earth, but completely inaccessible apart from the crystals. Ford and Harsgard, you remember Captain Ford, dear. He was the recruitment official who visited us at the university. Have a few dreamers on an atoll offshore. And the preliminary reports sound like fairy tales. Fauns, goblins, even magic. Referencing the first game. Of course, it can't actually be magic, but it certainly feels like it based on our current understanding of physics. It's hard to explain without being able to show you, Reg, but they won't let that happen until your transfer goes through. I don't even know if they'll allow this letter out, to be honest. It's fine, I'll show you everything in person when you arrive. Our ward already has 2 dreamers connected. I'm supervising our activation of a third in a few days. Gabriel, they call him. Well, I get the feeling it's not his real name. I can't wait to see what he sees and start investigating one of these worlds myself. We're on the verge of something amazing, Reg. There's so much more to the universe than anyone ever thought. Even Einstein. What wonders might be out there, just lying wait for our discovery. See you soon, Belinda. And reports, subject 2419-1. Preliminary observations and findings. Author Dr. Belinda Marsh, Operation Research and Analysis Manager, Ward 13. Abstract. Commander Neville has asked for recommendations on which world should be chosen for our first physical expedition. Subject 2419-1 is the second dreamer bonded to the so-called Fuzzies world, but the world has changed drastically since the loss of the previous dreamer. With a new guardian entity, a new invading species, and a widespread alterations to the world and its inhabitants, it's only fair to say this is no longer the Fuzzies world and is highly dangerous. It is my recommendation that we do not send a physical expedition to this world at this time. Keyword subject 124-19, Gabriel, Casa, Dreamer, Fuzzies, Root Creatures. Background. Last year, subject 2419, known as Gabriel, died in the Dreamer's chair when his guardian entity was killed by the inhabitants of the world. informally known as the Fuzzies. The Fuzzies were intelligent and warlike, yet they were caring towards each other. We still do not know why they turned on their guardian. In February of this year, we were finally successful in connecting a second dreamer when subject 2419-1, herein referred to as Casa, bonded to what appears to be a new guardian in the same world. We have been feverishly gathering data ever since. Preliminary findings. Casa's world is almost completely unrecognizable from Gabriel's unrecognizable from before. Gabriel observed what appeared to be massive living organisms populated by small, fur-covered creatures called Fuzzies. Casa, however, sees a world covered in root-like growths, with little of the original landscape visible underneath. The Fuzzies are rarely seen at all, at least not alive. The world is now populated by new, violent species of creature. It's unclear where this new species came from. We saw no evidence from Gabriel's recordings, but they have eliminated a large percentage of the former population in a very short time. The new species appears to be a plant-based, bearing resemblance to mottled trees or roots. These creatures are violent and destructive, actively hunting the Fuzzies, slaughtering them, then leaving the bodies behind while they hunt more. We believe that there may still be Fuzzies alive and in hiding, but given the ferocity of the root species, it is unlikely to remain so very long. Conclusion and recommendation. I believe the Fuzzies will not survive without some kind of intervention. However, I cannot recommend that a human scouting party visit Casa's world at this time. It is likely the root species will treat us the same as the Fuzzies, and given the speed and ferocity which they fight, a lone scouting party will not stand a chance, even with modern weapons. For now, I believe it is best that we continue our observations to learn what we can about this new species before engaging them. So, yeah, things have gone... that was dumb. Things seem to have gone horrifically wrong here. And the root species, which was originally found on another parallel world, has somehow crossed over into ours. Also, we got a bandage. New useful item. Bandage stops bleeding effects. That's all it does, but damn, that is useful. Elders say that old hospitals used to be full of meds, and folks knew how to use them. Now you're likely to find a healer within 100 miles. Finding a living one is even harder. It's one hell of a recording. What it did, though, is give us access to Elder Knowledge, which is an experience bonus. And now we have a +2 bonus to experience, which will become useful in gaining more trait points. And then gaining more experience. And this is the fuse. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Mostly. Okay. Anything in here? Oh, there's a dead person in here. Didn't look like they went out quietly. Okay. Working shadows. That's hard to do. They get props for that. Did I miss a door? No. Uh-oh, more reading. Log. No signal. Subject 2409 is online. Vitals are stable, but we're receiving no visual information, and the audio consists only of low, persistent rumble interspersed by seemingly random series of clicks. Attempts to find a pattern in the clicks have so far been fruitless. I'm convinced that there's nothing more than a signal noise, perhaps errors in the recording equipment amplified by the dreamer's subconscious. Or perhaps there's no signal at all. We've never tested what happens when a dreamer connects with nothing. Most likely, Dr. Harsgard read the runes wrong, awaiting confirmation. Ward 16 reply. Harsgard claims he's not wrong and suggests we continue monitoring. We'll do so only as a CY. Looks like we're stuck here for a while. Note from Private Waters. Dr. Isato, I heard a change in their audio last night for about 20 minutes, starting at 02:11. I heard some kind of singing. It's the only way I can think to describe it. It was the top of the regular rumble and clicks. I left the tape in your office for your review. Also, be advised that may have seen an anomaly on video as well. a brief, very faint pulse of light during the time of the audio anomaly. It may just have been an artifact on screen, or even my imagination. It was very late after all. So that audio recording is what we just listened to, the Elder Knowledge. Light show. Hell, I owe Harsgard $10. For about 2 hours on April 6, 1966, subject 2409's vitals lit up like a goddamn 4th of July. Dozens of lights pulsated on and off with no pattern we have yet discerned. Colors varied but remained mostly between blue and yellow wavelengths. After approximately 145 minutes, the pulsing band began to decrease in frequency, and by T plus 160 it had ceased entirely. Audio was unchanged during this time. Finally, we have proof this stream is connected to something. Farsguard is never going to let this drop. Error file corrupted. So that's the end of these logs. I'm not reading the system diagnostics because they all say the same thing. Trust me, I know. And this door is locked, so we're going to keep moving. That's not right. Did we have a Terminator arrive? What happened? AC. In this room, please keep the air conditioner on at all times. The Dreamer's entity lives in a frozen world in a world frozen in some places, colder than any recorded measurement on Earth, and seems to reflect aspects of that bond. In particular, she shows physical signs of discomfort at any temperature above 55 degrees. Those working in this area are encouraged to wear layers. Minor abnormality. The Guardian came across a clutch of orphaned polas. Apparently they have been lost in a blizzard, but the effect on Clementine was unexpected. Her neuroadrenaline levels dropped and her body showed signs of lacrimation. Most of the team believes the Guardian, the Dreamer, or both were saddened at the discovery, but we have no record of the Guardians ever having or eliciting emotions. If only we could record emotional states somehow. It's unfortunate that we can't speak to the Dreamers without waking them, and that we can't wake them without risking the loss of the bond. New procedures. FYI, per Commander Neville's orders, we have sedated Clementine until her neuroadrenaline levels return back to normal. I guess this is now standard operating procedure whenever a Dreamer exhibits any potentially unstable behavior. I suspect the source of this edict is Captain Ford. After what happened with Gabriel and with Harsgard about to connect a new Dreamer to this Clawbone entity, I'm guessing Ford doesn't want any more unnecessary risks. He's probably right. Janitor. Could someone please the janitor to leave the AC alone? It's the third time we've had to reboot Clementine this month. Last frame. Not disintegrated at all, rather we think she shifted somehow, that she still exists somewhere along with everything else, including the poor janitor. Unfortunately, as to why I have only conjecture, reviewing Clementine's final tape shows garbage. In the last frame, in one darkened corner, you can see something, this be Clawbone. Harsgard always described this unknown entity in fantastic terms. But what if he wasn't exaggerating? We know he brought his Dreamer online at approximately the same time Clementine disappeared after all. As I said, conjecture, garbage. Okay, so something swiped the Dreamer. And yes, if you step into the hole, you drop down. Log. Gabriel. The Dreamer known as Gabriel, subject 2419, is online. Data is coming faster than we can deal with it. Gabriel's bonded entity guards a literal living world, some kind of massive biological organism that houses the Guardian within. The ground is flesh and responds to stimuli. The air is thick with moisture, the breeze shifts cyclically like breathing. The inhabitants of the world are equally fascinating. Small fur-covered bipedals we dubbed fuzzies for their resemblance to creatures from H-Beam Piper's novels. They appear to be sentient. They have no spoken language, but they build tools and structures from the bone-like growths found throughout their world. These observations are preliminary, of course, but so exciting. A new species, first contact, what revelations might we uncover? Fuzzy distrust. The Fuzzies have been acting stranger. At first they had a kind of god-worshipper relationship with Gabriel's entity, but we've Recently seen signs of fear and distrust. A few even threw rocks at their guardian. Could Gabriel's bond somehow have caused this? We've been very careful to observe only, not interfere, but maybe the fuzzies detected some subtle change we could not predict. Too subtle for us to notice, yet strong enough to cause a violent reaction. That seems implausible. The minority of my team is concerned this will affect our experiment. One team member is worried Gabriel himself might be in danger, though I've seen no evidence of that. Gabriel's vitals have been unaffected by the random attacks. A more valid concern is that the very act of observing is affecting what we observe. That may not be that that may not be valid, but it's not reason enough to wake the dreamer. Not yet. Uprising. Gabriel was attacked today, or rather the Guardian was. We're combing our records for any sign of provocation on our part, but has so far found nothing. Gabriel's been completely passive, allowing the Guardian to act independently. Most likely, whatever's happening predates Gabriel's bond. They have been more calls from the team to wake Gabriel, still a minority, but it's true that his heart rate rose briefly during the attack, but there have been no other signs that the attack affected him in any way. I've ordered observations to continue. We will see this through. Termination. Subject 2419 has been declared dead on Saturday, April 3rd, 1966. His guardian was killed and his body consequently suffered a cardiac arrest. We lost input immediately. Needless to say, my team is devastated. And yet, this presents exciting new information. This is the first time a dreamer has died in the chair. Tragic though Gabriel's death is, it proves the bond between dreamers and guardians is even stronger than we knew. Research in the Fuzzies world has been put on hold now. Our previous observations and these log entries will be transferred to another room for study while Gabriel's chair is prepared for the next dreamer. I know we'll be back. There's so much yet to learn. What happens when a world guardian dies anyway? So, putting the pieces together, this is CASA. Research team. Interesting to point out that CASA hasn't decayed at all. Everybody else has been stripped clean. They had to murder her to cut off the gate from the root. Interesting. That narration took a while. But we have places to go, people to see. And we're missing a key. Nope, I don't have it. Crap. The key is important. You'll find out soon. Also, now that we're no longer in the tutorial, we have unlimited sprinting in the base. But we have this fuse, and downstairs we were missing a fuse in the fuse box, so let's go ahead and take care of that. Up. Alright, fuse in. Activate fuse box. That sounded interesting. Board 13 keycard. Good. Door open. Good. I know what I'm doing, trust me. Fuse box off. It may not make sense, but it will in just a second. Also, this place is huge. Big fuck off fan, which we can now enter because the fuse box is turned off. Cache of hidden items. Board 13 master key, which we need to go upstairs. Now we can turn the lights back on. I'm gonna go this way because thermal control is fairly limited. Pretty much just the bandage. I think that item is whatever it is in that room is randomized, but don't quote me on that. This layout is important, and you'll see why much later, actually. I'm gonna say in a bit, but no, it's gonna be much later. Nothing there. This looks important. An observation room. That's weird. Their ammo box. So ammo boxes are, and I probably should point this out and look it up. When the root came, the world was full of low ammunition. It wasn't enough. Nowadays, we take what we can get. So, if you don't want to go back to a checkpoint to refill your ammo, or you're running low during a fight, you can use the ammo box and refill all your ammo. Warning hazard, warning microwave hazard. Well, this is weird. That looks suspicious, and it should. We've seen Stranger Things, you kind of know what's going on here. Anyway, Tome of Knowledge, Trade Point, Elder Knowledge. Moving on. We have another spot for a key we don't have, and another system lock enabled, so we're not going that way. We do have one more door to open that we have a key for. We have the master key. Run back upstairs. You have to have the power on in order to use that computer. The computer is important, but we won't get to it for a little while. But we need to go back to that door that was locked on top of B2. So this is a military installation, research installation designed to research the effect of dreamers on and accessing parallel realities. Something has gone catastrophically wrong with one of the dreamers that allowed the root, the monsters from another dimension, in to slaughter the population of the planet. That's the story so far. Jackpot. So we've now got our new toy. Switch. Small caliber, fully automatic weapon with a decent magazine capacity, blazing fast rate of fire, effective at close range. Sure, ammunition's hard to come by, but the more you can spit into the air, the longer you're likely to live. This is my favorite weapon. And it gets better every time you upgrade it. Anyway, Mark Klinger, date 07/21/1967. An explosion in research knocked out the circuit breaker in the north wing. The ward is running on backup power, but repair crews have been dispatched. Patients remain stable. No major accidents. 07/22/67. Main power is restored, but security camera 12 is offline. Tim Smith checked cabling and reported that the lines were fried. Field service ticket with maintenance. 08/01/67. I'm a little on edge. There was an incident with patient 2923, Clementine, last night. She was agitated, like she was having a bad dream. The doctors and nurses were scared, something about her PSK levels being way off the graph. It took 3 orderlies to pin her down. Can't say for sure, but I think I saw a microscope fly off the table and hit one of the orderlies square in the back of the head. No one threw it. The damn thing just shot off the table. The orderly is in medbay. 27 stitches. It could have been worse, much worse. 08/13/67. Dreamer 2923 was at it again this evening. Started around midnight. The patient was moaning and crying in her sleep. Wasn't long before the crying turned into screaming and the medical crew rushed to the room. The orderlies could barely keep her down. Never seen anything like it. How does a 16-year-old child have enough strength to take on 3 fully grown men? Doctors were yelling at nurses to sedate her, but the tranquilizer didn't take effect soon enough. They finally managed to strap the restraints, but the patient thrashed around so much she broke her right forearm. Broke her damn arm against the straps. Yep, so now we kind of get an idea of who the dreamers were. The dreamers were all children, ranging from the ages of, this isn't written anywhere specific, but they're ranging from ages 10 to 16. Clementine was actually the oldest dreamer. And it might have been her age that saved her life, because something took her. Took her, the bed, and the janitor. Well, what's left of the janitor, anyway. Just like the time bubble from Terminator, the whole bubble just ripped everything out of there. So, yeah, that's kind of what has been happening. So these wars, these experiments into looking into other worlds are what's responsible for the infestation of the root. And now we have to deal with it. Now we're going back to that dungeon. Last checkpoint. Yes. But now we're going equipped with a nice new automatic weapon. I have a build I like. We're going to stick with it. Anyway, I'm going to hop in here because it pauses the game. Thank God. And we're going to call it a video. So I'll see you guys in the next one.